Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming to my channel, D versus Debt. This is D, and thank you for joining me on my journey as I try to figure things out when it comes to money. So for Transfer Tuesday, what I do is talk about my money moves. I did a few moves this week that I'm kind of excited about. The first thing I did with my electric company, I finally signed up for what's called budget billing. So what they do is they average out your spending for the year, and they come out with a number that you pay every month. So instead of having your bill go up and down every month, it's consistent throughout the year. So I ended up doing that, and it worked out perfect because it averaged out to basically what I'm paying for all of my other bills. So for my internet, for my phone, for sewer and garbage, things like that, everything is about $70 a month, which is what my electric bill ended up rounding out to. So I'm excited about that because it's just nice to know exactly how much you have to budget every month for it instead of having it fluctuate. So for now then, the only bill I have left that's a wild card is my water bill. That one goes up and down, and there's just no real way to know exactly how much to expect every month. The other thing I've been doing is I had read this book a few years ago and kept some of the information in my mind, but I never really applied it until just now when I started investing finally in August for the first time ever in my life. So now I'm going back and revisiting this book. I would recommend it. It's basically a teacher who is a millionaire, obviously, as you can tell by the title, Millionaire Teacher, but he got into investing. So he lives a very, very modest life, very frugal, but he's got $1 million portfolio and then some, because of what he invests in. So it's a short book. As you can see, it's not very thick. He talks about index funds, he talks about bonds, things like that. And so I am gaining some information from this, so it's not a hard read. And again, he is kind of silly with the way that he writes, so that was pretty entertaining. And it made the whole concept of investing less intimidating because of his writing style. So I would recommend this book. It's not the greatest book in the world, but I did learn some things from it. So I give it a thumbs up. So the next thing that I'm going to do is the other big money move that I made was having to do with my mortgage. So I wanted to point these things out to you and have you give me some advice because I was pretty surprised by some of the stuff that came back. So currently my mortgage is at 4.375%. So it is a higher percent than average right now. However, it's a lot lower than I used to pay with my original mortgage before I refinanced it. So I reached out to my credit union and asked about refinancing it. And this is the information they came back with. They said, if you refinance for another 15-year mortgage, because I did take one out almost 3 years ago and I've paid off almost half of it. So I said, okay, now if you do it again, we're going to drop down the interest rate to 3.125%. That'll drop your monthly payment for your mortgage to $257.75, which is awesome. What's not awesome is the fact that I would have to pay $2,300 in the fees to refinance. So that got a big nope for me. I'm like, no, that's a lot of money. If I'm planning to pay off the house in 5 years, if I keep pushing, this wouldn't be worth it. This amount of money right here wouldn't be worth it. So then they came back with something else. They said you can do an interest rate buy down. And so you would stay on your same mortgage. So I have right now 12 and a quarter years left to go on my mortgage. This would cost me $500, which was like, I don't know about that. But it would drop down my interest rate to 3.25%. So I like that. I liked the next thing. They said it would also drop your payment every month to $286.96. So the thought of this being my monthly mortgage payment is pretty dang amazing. That's less than a car payment, a car loan payment. So I really like the thought of that. That would make my bills and all that much more manageable every month. Plus, if you have a mortgage, there are certain tax benefits. Like for example, your interest that you paid on your mortgage, that is a tax write-off basically. If you itemize, so are your property taxes. And so there are, some tax benefits involved to it. So if I slowed my roll basically and say, okay, I'm going to pay the house off in 10 years, then this would average out to about $5, right, a year. And I would only have to pay, less than $300 a month on my mortgage. And so I would still be receiving these tax benefits. So I'm kind of stumped right now what to do. Should I just keep going, basically like scorched earth like I have been, and going crazy and really pushing myself and honestly like almost burning myself out to get my house paid off as soon as possible? Or should I go with this and have an itty bitty mortgage payment, some tax benefits, and just take my time and pay it off instead of in 5 years, pay it off in 10 years? So I'm really curious to see what you have to say about that. What I forgot to mention was the fact that before I refinanced my mortgage, my monthly payment was over $1,000, which is a lot for this area and for the fact that I own a small, older home. Now, the thing that I did when I refinanced is that I took the escrow out. My current mortgage payment is only $531 a month, but that's because I pay my home insurance, my property taxes, all of that separate on my own instead of having it rolled into my monthly mortgage payment. And for the last thing for this Transfer Tuesday, you all gave me a total of 53 likes for last week's Transfer Tuesday, so that means that I will be investing $53 through my CashApp. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is my $1 challenge when it comes to investing. So every week I go into CashApp and I buy $1 worth of stock from every place that I bought at that pays a dividend. So my first purchase was Burger King because I go through there every single week. The next place is Safeway. They're owned by Albertsons, so I bought $1 worth of stock from them because I shopped there one time during the course of the week. The next place I went to was Dollar General. I only went there once during this week, so I only bought $1 worth of stock. If I'd gone, say, 3 times, then I would buy $3 worth of their shares. The next place I went to was Walmart, just once, which is why you see me just investing $1 into Walmart. So that's going to buy me an itty bitty little fractional share for them. And for my final purchase of the week, I went to the gas station one time this time, which is why I'm only buying $1 worth of Valero versus the 2 that I had purchased last week. So there is my $1 purchase. And now I received a dividend from this particular REIT that I own. So it was less than $1, but I rounded up to $1 and reinvested it so that I own more shares and get more money. Now it's time to invest the $53 for the 53 likes. So this time I'm playing it safe, and instead of purchasing stocks, I'm going to be purchasing a bond in order to try to keep things balanced. So there's the ticker symbol BND for the one I chose, and the price for it is $85 and change a share, which means that I'm going to be buying just part of it, so it's a fractional share instead of buying the whole thing. So I like to go to the NASDAQ website and bring up the ticker symbol, so BND, and look at the dividend history. This gives me an idea of what they pay, so this one's almost 2%. And there's a breakdown month by month of how much they pay for each dividend. So it's about 13 cents a month that I'll be seeing deposited into my CashApp debit card. And then that's what I turn around and reinvest in order to build up. I own more of it, I get more dividends every month, and it just keeps compounding that way. So bonds are safe, they're dependable, they're not as exciting as stocks because they don't give you as much money. But if poop hits the fan, basically, you're safe by having a stock of bonds in your portfolio. So here I am back in CashApp. I am putting in my $53, $1 for every like that my video got last week. And at 6:30 in the morning, when the stock market opens up, I will be the proud owner of this particular bond. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.